This is the Hidden Killers podcast with Tony Brueski,
featuring trial consultant and body language expert Susan Constantine.
Judge in the Kohberger case saying, yeah, we're sorry. This whole argument that you were making of we should completely dismiss this case because some instructions were given slightly incorrectly, that didn't work. It did not work at all for Bryan Kohberger. However, what did work is the ability, which I think most would say is fair, to take a look in discovery at some of the genealogy evidence that is against him. They're going to take a look very closely at exactly how that evidence is gathered and how basically the sausage is made when it comes down to it. Joining me to discuss this case is Susan Constantine. Susan, I don't see anything wrong. Obviously, it's fair. It's discovery. This should be both sides taking a look at this sort of information. What do you think it means, though, for the defense of Kohberger? Is there anything in this that they can take a look at and say, yeah, this doesn't really add up the way that you gathered it, and could it affect the case?
I think it's a very slippery slope for him because DNA and all of the advancements that we have been able to do, I mean, this genealogy stuff is powerful. I love CrimeCon. Of course, I'm one of their speakers. And even the last one I went to, which was here in Orlando, I mean, you met the top of the top genealogists, if I'm saying that, genealogy. It's fascinating how they can find, and I'll just give you just a perfect example, which is actually, one of my best friends called me just the other day and she says, guess what? And I said, what? She says, I have a grandson that's 32 years old. I never knew I had.
Oh, wow.
Said, how did you find out? Well, I found out that my son had a girlfriend when she was 16 and got pregnant and had a child, thought it was somebody else's. And then somehow or another, he went into one of these genealogy programs that you can send in your information with, found out pronto the dad wasn't the dad. And guess what? Now we know who the dad is. So this is what's happening, right? Mm-hmm. So it certainly could be very slippery.
Yeah.
If it's going to link right back down to him, and we have the sheath of the knife, right? We have that. We have DNA. We also have circumstantial evidence, which has nothing to do with the genealogy. But I don't know. I'm wondering why the defense would even want to do that just in case, because then it's discoverable, right? They've got to share it with the opposite side, and if they have it, then that's even more evidence for the prosecution.
Yeah, it seems like maybe a place you don't want to go shining your flashlight around if you're the defense of Bryan Kohberger, because it could very easily lead to not the answer you want if you're trying to defend Mr. Kohberger.
Yeah, and that's the way I think. But, you have to give this defense attorney a lot of kudos because, man, oh, man, she's fighting hard for him, and she doesn't leave any stone unturned. Thing that I always think about is this is a guy that is accused of allegedly killing these four young people, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How do you sleep at night knowing? See, that's the part where I go with it. And for myself as a trial consultant and for 20 years, I had to get to a place where I chose what I wanted to work on and what I didn't. Mm-hmm. Because before, and one of them is, of course, these kind of horrible, heinous murder cases. Number two is child molestation. If it's child molestation, I'm not working with you unless you have a voice stress analysis. If you didn't do it and it shows up there and you're not guilty, then I'll work with you. Mm-hmm. Now, you want to know how many phone calls I get back that says, yes, we're ready to proceed? 0.
Yeah, that's not surprising then. Now is it? When he was in court the other week, last time that we saw him dressed up in the suit again and looking professional, but I know you can look at this and see a whole other side to individuals other than just he's wearing a suit. What did you get out of the last court hearing or the last handful that we've now seen him in public at?
Yeah, he's feeling a little more comfortable, isn't he?
Seems like
he's feeling a little bit more empowered. He has a little more confidence. You might see him. We had this kind of gesture here, which is a fact. Somebody that is usually an expert in the field. They do the steeple. You see that.
I saw the steeple. Yes, that was one of the bigger ones.
Right. But then you see him looking off to the corner of his eye, which is suspicion. So when you start putting the gestures with and the eye movement, or the facial expressions, when you tie that to what's being spoken at that time, you can get a feel for what he's internally processing. So whatever was spoken at that moment, he felt pretty empowered. I mean, when you go up into a steeple, the higher the confidence. Now, we haven't seen him do this before. So this is not what I would call his normal baseline. Normally, he's got his hands under the table. I don't know whether he's got handcuffs on, but I think that's part of too, where he wants to appear that he's not threatening because he's got those leg guards on. So I think we talked about, you've seen that. So maybe the hand up high is to kind of give a indicator that he's uncuffed and he's not in shackles, because a lot of them are, right?
Yeah.
There's shackled underneath or they're shackled in their hands. He's not shackled. So it could be a part of gamemanship too. It might be that he just did that to send a message that he was in a more powerful feeling, more confident. So, whether it was staged or whether it wasn't staged, I knew he was suspicious because you could see it looking out the corner of his eye.
I was gonna ask that. Is that something you think that was planned? Was there a coaching method going on prior? Like, okay, when we're in there, put your hands like this and, act like you're thinking and you're deep in thought or really contemplating the deliberations that are going on at that moment? Or is it just, subconscious, his behavior?
Well, I can tell you that if the attorney or anyone coached him to do that, would really be improper, because as a body language expert, I've never coached. I've done witness prep. You prep them, letting them know that gestures that you exhibit, your movements, your facial expressions, your body language all sends a message. So we prefer that you sit quietly. If you want to express, write it down on a piece of paper. Don't be darting your eyes around and things like that. When you're speaking, don't elaborate. Just answer question. There's a lot that I work with them on, but never to the point. Well, when she says this, I want you to do that.
Okay.
Or if they said that, I want you to smirk, or or shake your head no when they present evidence that you don't agree with. 20 years into that, I've never done that ever.
Have you ever seen anyone do that? Is that
great?
Yeah.
Especially for someone like Kohberger, who really has low emotional intelligence. He's not a touchy-feely guy. I think for him, it would look very mechanical if he did. But I personally think it's because he felt empowered. I think he felt like just his overall demeanor compared to when he was first arrested, when he was first in the courtroom, and he was very suspicious. He wouldn't even look at his attorney. He would quickly glance over and jump right back because he can't make good connection with people. He's got this very antisocial way about him. So those type of people don't make good eye contact. They don't connect well with people personally. They don't have intimate relationships. And we saw that play out in his life. You also can see it in the courtroom. Now he's feeling more comfortable. So because he's in the spotlight, I think that he feels that he's getting some wins in there, which I think is helping him improve his confidence level.
That's what I was going to ask. Why the confidence? I mean, there are little wins here and there, I guess one could say, but for the most part, it looks pretty damning. I didn't let it be celebrating if I were Bryan Kohberger.
Yeah, that's right. I agree.
Want to listen ad-free? Want advance access to all of our interviews before anyone else?
Become a True Crime Today Premium Plus subscriber on Apple Podcasts.
You get every episode commercial-free.
So you can binge on true crime
until you can binge no more.
Search True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts now, or go to our podcast page and sign up now.
More of the Hidden Killers podcast next.